Insight. We are joined now by Casey Weed from Howard Bailey Financial. We're going to talk about the STARS program today, which I'm sure is something different entirely than what I might
It's not
think.
something in the sky, or we're not talking about famous people. What is the STARS program?
STARS stands for Strategic Transfer and Reinvestment System.
Oh, Lord, not at all what I thought.
And that's a whole lot of words right there,
Right.
and big words, but we can break that down a little bit for you.
Okay.
It's strategic, so we're strategically transferring money from one account to another and reinvesting into the market using dollar cost averaging. So we'll achieve a substantial upfront bonus today when the market's not necessarily performing for most people, and they say, well, maybe I'm not going to achieve any returns to speak of for the next several years. So let's go ahead and get an account in the portfolio that has somewhere between a 10 and 20% bonus. So we make 10 to 20% today, and we start dollar cost averaging that money back into the market from an insured safe vehicle back into the market, which allows us to achieve much higher returns because we're creating those returns on a larger sum of money up front.
Yeah, that's why you have to help us.
Exactly. Well, I guess the best part is the strategic part. The fact that you have a strategy, especially when this feels like it's way over my head, is very reassuring to me.
And I think a lot of advisors, they stick you in this product, they give you a bonus, and then they walk away and you don't hear from them for a year, 2, 3 years. And that's just not the way to get the most out of these types of vehicles.
Well, and you're using what's available to us right now. I mean, what is the best strategy for this market that we're in today?
Well, when it comes to the actual market, we have to have a different strategy than we had in the 80s and 90s. The market's changed, the world's evolving, and we can't sit here and pretend everything's going to be just like it was.
Right.
We may never see the 80s and 90s the rest of our lifetime. And so we have to have a different strategy for a flat or a bear market like we've talked about before.
Right.
Now, last year, for instance, we need to pick up income. Well, if we're picking up income, dividends, and yield, last year the market was fairly flat. But if you're picking up some dividends along the way, you could achieve a pretty decent return last year. And so that's one of the things we need to focus on today, is picking up a lot of dividends in our large caps, mid caps, our master limited partnerships, a lot of different things like that.
Right.
They create a higher level of income for us. And that'll help us during this type of market. And we also have to be active. We can't sit there and have a buy and hold approach. I often ask clients, well, how'd you do in 2008? And they'll say, well, maybe I lost money, everybody lost money. Well, you didn't lose money if you had the right type of strategy. If you lost money in 2008, it was probably because you had a buy and hold strategy where you sat there and rode the market to the bottom. And that's not the type of strategy we can have for a market that looks like a roller coaster.
Wow. Now, since we need to be on top of it all the time, what are some things that we should do financially before the end of the year, which is coming so fast?
Quickly approaching.
So before the end of 2012, what should we be doing financially?
Well, there's definitely some things that you need to take and start doing today, because this is probably the most important election year of our lives, at least. And usually election years are pretty good for the market.
Right.
But right now we're sitting at a point somewhere between 12 and 13% up for the year to date on the S&P 500. And how much higher can we possibly go? What kind of real economic evidence is there that we should be back where we were in the year 2000, back where we were back in the year 2007? There's a lot more downside risk than there is upside potential, and so we need to start hedging those bets and making some changes. Maybe it's time to take some of those gains for your retirement, stick them into more of a conservative account where you know you can use those monies for your retirement income regardless of what happens in the market over the next year or two.
So are these really things we don't need to do before the end of the year, but maybe before the election?
Before the election, before the end of the year, and right now I look at the market and it's really sitting up there quite high, and that's a little concerning for me, and it's a little concerning for a lot of people that have their money in their market and they're back to where they were after their losses in 2008.
Well, just one more reason we should come in and talk to somebody like you at Howard Bailey Financial, because we don't understand how the election, you know, we maybe understand how it affects other parts of our lives, but not necessarily
it's
how
time
it
to put in your stops, and that's what we're here for.
All right. Well, if you want to get some advice, give Howard Bailey Financial a call. Casey can help you, or you can email him info@howardbailey.com. I am making up email addresses as we go. Oh, St. Kevin's for Financial Fridays. Casey will be back with us next week. Emily and I will be right back after this.